Hello everyone, today's reading focuses on the Six of Pentacles, a card that carries a powerful message about balance, generosity, and the flow of abundance in your life. This card suggests that you are moving away from a phase of uncertainty, scarcity, or constant financial stress, and stepping into a more stable and supportive period. It reflects a shift where your efforts begin to pay off in tangible ways, and where the universe starts to mirror back the energy, time, and hard work you've been putting in. At its core, the Six of Pentacles is about healthy exchange. Not just money, but energy, opportunities, and support. In your near future, you may find yourself in a position where you are no longer just receiving help or struggling to manage resources, but instead experiencing a natural flow of abundance. This doesn't only mean wealth, it also includes emotional ease, supportive relationships, and opportunities that come at the right time. Financially, this energy points toward a phase where income becomes more consistent and manageable. You may experience growth in your career, new opportunities for earning, or even unexpected support that helps you feel more secure. What once felt unstable or uncertain begins to settle, giving you space to breathe and think long-term. With this stability comes freedom, the freedom to make choices without constant fear of, what if I run out? You may find yourself able to spend on things that genuinely bring you joy, invest in your future, save with confidence, and also share your resources with others without feeling drained. The Six of Pentacles often highlights the beauty of giving and receiving in balance, where generosity flows naturally rather than out of pressure or obligation. This card also speaks about your relationship with worthiness. It gently reminds you that you are stepping into a phase where you don't have to chase abundance desperately. It starts to recognize you. You begin to feel more comfortable receiving, not just giving, and understanding that support from others is not a weakness, but part of life's natural cycle. Emotionally and mentally, this energy brings a sense of ease and grounding. The constant pressure to plan every step or worry about survival begins to fade. Instead, there is a growing ability to live more spontaneously, to say yes to opportunities, to travel, to enjoy experiences, and to be present in the moment without overthinking every decision. The Six of Pentacles is a reminder that life is moving toward fairness, flow, and fulfillment for you. The more you align with balance between giving and receiving, effort and rest, saving and enjoying, the more stable and abundant your path becomes. Trust that you are entering a phase where life supports you in a more visible and tangible way, and where you are finally able to experience both security and freedom at the same time. With the Eight of Pentacles, the core message is steady mastery through repetition, discipline, and quiet dedication. You are in a phase where progress may not always feel dramatic day to day, but it is deeply real and compounding beneath the surface. Every small effort you've been putting in, whether in work, personal growth, healing, or relationships, is building something solid and long-lasting. This is not the energy of shortcuts or sudden luck. It's the energy of becoming skilled, reliable, and internally confident in what you do. Over time, this creates a noticeable shift. People begin to trust your consistency. They notice that you don't just start things, you follow through. And because of that, opportunities don't need to be chased as aggressively. They begin to come toward you more naturally. Recognition tends to arrive gradually in this phase, often from people who have been observing you quietly from the sidelines before they openly acknowledge your value. On a professional or personal development level, you are refining your craft and identity at the same time. there's a growing sense that you're no longer experimenting aimlessly. You're building expertise. This can also bring moments of quiet pride, where you realize you are no longer where you used to be, even if you're still on the way to where you ultimately want to go. In relationships, this energy reflects something equally important: emotional maturity and intentional connection. You are moving away from dynamics that feel unclear, inconsistent, or emotionally draining. Instead, there is a strong pull toward something grounded and reciprocal. Romantically, the indication is of being seen properly, not just noticed, but understood in a meaningful way. This is the kind of connection where effort is not one-sided. Both people choose each other consistently, not just emotionally in highs, but practically in how they show up day to day. There is mutual care, where support flows in both directions rather than being carried by one person alone. This relationship dynamic feels balanced because it is built on shared emotional responsibility. Neither person is overextending or chasing validation. Instead, there is a natural rhythm of giving and receiving. You feel emotionally safe enough to be yourself, without needing to perform or constantly prove your worth. That safety allows attraction and affection to deepen in a healthy way. Alongside emotional harmony, there is also a strong undercurrent of chemistry and physical connection. However, what makes it meaningful is that it doesn't stand alone. It is supported by respect and emotional understanding. The attraction feels energizing rather than destabilizing, which helps you feel more confident in both love and life. As this energy unfolds, you may notice a shift in your daily experience of freedom. You begin to feel less mentally burdened by uncertainty or emotional imbalance. Your time and energy feel more protected, and you're able to engage with life in a more relaxed, intentional way instead of constantly reacting or overextending yourself for others. Especially with the King of Pentacles, there is a strong sense of stability, security, maturity, fulfillment, and grounded joy. This energy is often associated with long-term success that is built slowly, intentionally, and with discipline rather than quick gains or unstable wins. It represents someone who has learned how to manage resources wisely, stay consistent through challenges, and build something that actually lasts. You are stepping into a life that reflects a deeper form of wealth and success. And when I say wealth, I don't just mean money or material possessions. Financial abundance on its own can sometimes feel hollow if it isn't supported by inner peace, meaningful relationships, and a sense of purpose. Many people reach financial milestones but still feel restless, disconnected, or unfulfilled inside. That's why this message is pointing toward a more complete picture of abundance. What you are aligning with is a broader form of prosperity, one that includes emotional stability, mental clarity, physical well-being, spiritual grounding, and healthier connections with others. It's the kind of balance where success doesn't come at the cost of your peace, and peace doesn't come at the cost of your ambition. Instead, both grow together. This is money combined with peace of mind, money combined with emotional security, money combined with respect, stability, and the ability to make choices without constant fear or pressure. It is the difference between simply having more and actually feeling safe, steady, and in control of your direction in life. In this kind of energy, success is not chaotic or short-lived. It is structured and sustainable. You're not just chasing opportunities. You're building systems, habits, and decisions that support long-term growth. There is a maturity in how you approach life, less impulsive reaction, more thoughtful action. Less survival mode, more intentional living. You may also notice that as this energy develops, your relationships begin to shift. The King of Pentacles often represents loyalty, dependability, and emotional steadiness in connection. This suggests a movement toward relationships that feel more grounded, supportive, and genuine rather than unstable or uncertain. You start attracting or building bonds where trust and consistency matter more than intensity or confusion. Most importantly, this type of abundance is sustainable because it is internal as well as external. It's not dependent on luck alone. It grows from discipline, self-respect, patience, and alignment with what truly matters to you. When inner stability improves, external stability tends to follow more naturally because your decisions become clearer and more aligned with long-term outcomes. This energy of the Hanged Man represents a powerful inner shift, one that doesn't come from action, but from stillness, acceptance, and a deeper way of understanding life. It is the kind of phase where progress happens internally first, even if externally things feel paused or slow. At its core, this card speaks about inner growth through surrender. Not surrender as defeat, but as conscious release, letting go of resistance, overthinking, control, and the need to force outcomes. When you stop pushing against what is not moving, you create space for clarity. And in that space, your perception begins to change. What once felt confusing starts to make sense from a wider, more mature perspective. This is also a period of reframing your life experience. You may notice that situations you once saw as problems now appear as lessons or necessary redirections. The Hanged Man often arrives when your old approach is no longer effective, and life is quietly asking you to pause, observe, and adjust your inner alignment before taking the next step. Emotionally, this energy can feel surprisingly calming. There is a gradual lifting of internal tension, like you are no longer carrying the same weight of urgency or worry. In its place, a soft emotional stability begins to form. You may feel more centered, less reactive, and more able to respond instead of react. This creates a sense of protection, not because challenges disappear, but because they stop disturbing your inner state as easily. Spiritually, this phase often brings a feeling of being guided or supported by something larger than immediate circumstances. It is less about dramatic signs and more about quiet knowing. You may feel more connected to intuition, more aware of timing, and more trusting that things are unfolding in their own rhythm. For some, this energy extends into the home and family environment, bringing warmth, healing, or reconnection. There can be a sense of rebuilding emotional foundations, repairing relationships, deepening bonds, or simply appreciating a more peaceful domestic atmosphere. It can also symbolize long-term stability in practical matters such as property, savings, investments, or any foundation that requires patience and steady development over time. The Four of Cups suggests that this connection may enter your life in a way that feels subtle, almost unexpected, as though it appears when your attention is focused elsewhere, or when you are in a reflective, inward phase. It often represents emotional recalibration, moments where you are reassessing what truly fulfills you, what you are emotionally available for, and what you are no longer willing to entertain. This card also points strongly toward a period of personal evolution you've been moving through. You've likely been deeply engaged in self-growth, healing old emotional patterns, improving your mindset, strengthening your career path, and building a sense of inner and outer stability. This hasn't been a passive phase. It has required discipline, patience, and emotional maturity. You've been learning to choose yourself more consciously, not from a place of isolation, but from self-respect and clarity. Because of this internal shift, your energy has changed. The way you perceive relationships, emotional availability, and long-term compatibility is no longer the same as it once was. You are now more aligned with depth, consistency, and emotional intelligence rather than surface-level connection or temporary excitement. This transformation is quietly shaping the type of experiences and people you are now attracting. There is also a sense of energetic alignment between you and the person entering your life. It feels like both of you may have gone through similar phases of personal discipline, focus, and self-improvement. This creates a natural resonance, where understanding doesn't need to be forced, and mutual respect develops through shared values rather than dramatic emotional highs and lows. The connection is likely to feel grounded, steady, and intentional rather than chaotic or confusing. Timing plays an important role here. The Four of Cups often suggests divine or natural timing, connections arriving when emotional readiness has matured on both sides. It can feel as though life quietly rearranges itself in the background until the conditions are right for something meaningful to emerge. This isn't about rushing or forcing outcomes. It's about alignment meeting opportunity. The person you are attracting is likely to embody a strong sense of stability, practicality, and long-term orientation. They may be financially secure or actively building their security through consistent effort and discipline. Their focus tends to lean towards structure, responsibility, and creating a solid foundation for the future rather than short-term gratification. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to ask for your support. If this reading is resonating with you and bringing you value, please consider supporting Fascinate Yourself with a super thanks of $11.11, $22.22, or $33.33, $44.44. Your support helps me continue creating these readings for you. Also, if you haven't already, consider joining as a channel member. You'll get access to exclusive content and early releases. Your support truly means the world to me and helps this channel grow. Okay, let's continue with the reading. With the Page of Cups, this speaks to your heart gently opening again after a period where emotions may have been guarded, uncertain, or even a bit disillusioned. This card carries the energy of emotional renewal, like your inner world is becoming softer, more receptive, and more willing to trust what you feel instead of overthinking it. The Page of Cups often appears as a messenger of love, emotional curiosity, and unexpected connections. It doesn't usually represent something fully developed or mature yet, but rather the beginning spark, the kind of emotional stirring that feels innocent, surprising, and sometimes even slightly magical. It can show up when someone enters your life and triggers feelings you weren't actively looking for or preparing for. In your situation, it suggests that both you and the other person are moving into a phase where emotional openness is happening naturally, not forced. There's a sense of mutual emotional timing aligning, even if neither of you is consciously trying to create it. This can be especially meaningful because it points to authenticity, feelings that arise because they are meant to, not because they are chased or manufactured. What makes the Page of Cups especially interesting here is the element of surprise. It often indicates that neither of you will truly anticipate how or when this connection begins to take shape. It's not something that will feel planned or calculated. Instead, it may unfold in a subtle, almost ordinary moment that later feels significant in hindsight. You might find that you meet this person during a time when your focus is elsewhere, on personal growth, healing, work, or simply living your life without actively seeking love. The Page of Cups suggests that love enters more easily when you're not gripping tightly to expectations. The same can be said for the other person. They may also be in a similar headspace, open but not searching, available but not chasing. You've drawn the Ace of Cups, and it's one of the most emotionally significant cards in the entire deck. It doesn't just hint at love. It speaks of emotional renewal, a fresh opening of the heart, and a new chapter where feelings are no longer blocked, suppressed, or uncertain. It's the beginning of something that feels emotionally alive again. Springtime energy often surrounds this card symbolically or literally, but what it really points to is a personal thawing, a phase where emotional clarity returns after confusion, distance, or healing. Something in your emotional world is becoming soft again, open again, willing again. That alone is already a major shift. This card suggests that a new connection is entering your life, or an existing one is transforming into something much deeper and more meaningful. But importantly, it doesn't feel like a random encounter. The energy around it suggests alignment through growth. In other words, both you and the other person have been shaped by past experiences, lessons, and emotional maturity. You're not meeting as the same versions of yourselves that you once were. You're meeting as people who have been refined by what they've been through. There's a strong undertone of emotional sincerity here. This isn't superficial attraction or fleeting excitement. It feels like something that carries depth, where vulnerability is safe, and emotional expression is met with understanding instead of judgment. You may find yourself able to be more open than usual, and the other person likely mirrors that same willingness. One of the most powerful aspects of the Ace of Cups is the idea of reciprocity in emotional energy. This is not a dynamic where you are constantly overextending or wondering where you stand. Instead, it suggests balance, mutual investment, mutual care, and emotional presence on both sides. What you give is genuinely returned, not out of obligation, but out of natural emotional flow. That kind of balance can feel surprisingly grounding if you've experienced imbalance before. There is also a subtle sense of divine timing or orchestration behind this connection. Things may have felt delayed, unclear, or even frustrating in the past. But this card often appears when circumstances quietly shift in the background first, so that when the connection arrives or deepens, it feels strangely natural, like it was always supposed to happen this way. Not forced, not rushed, just aligned. That's all I have for you in today's reading. See you in next reading.